here with the sci-fi legend, Ron D. Moore. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, so how have you been enjoying Comic-Con so far?
Well, it's off to a good start, as always. It certainly seems like there's a big crowd, I think, there's a lot of pent-up enthusiasm to get back to Comic-Con after the strikes of last year.
Yeah, nature is healing. Everyone's coming together to really celebrate something awesome. So at the convention, I heard that you're having a panel like later, and the title of it, I read it, was A Conversation with Ron D. Moore. Can you give us a little more details about what the conversation exactly is, or a little hint?
Well, it's a conversation with me and Mary McDonald, who
Oh.
played Laura Roslin on Battlestar. And I haven't seen her in a few years, so it'll be really fun to get together again. And we're just going to talk about television and show running, and interested to hear her perspective as an actress on an ongoing series, and sort of, how that meshes with what I do, and what we think of each other's roles, and what our observations were about the series, that series in particular, and then other shows that we've worked on since that point.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm glad that you're having a really good reunion. It's good to see old friends at a cool convention like this. So speaking of your work, you are a legend. You are the sci-fi king of sorts.
At least in this room, I am.
Yeah, well, we'll add that in your lower thirds.
Yeah.
But for it, since Comic-Con is such a celebration of like all things nerdom and pop culture, I kind of wanted to talk about, like, of course, you're a big fan of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica, but are there any other things that you're a big fan of?
Oh, I'm a big Star Wars fan,
Yeah.
and Aliens and Blade Runner, and all the big ones, Matrix. I'm a science fiction aficionado.
That's awesome. That's cool. Have you since you've worked with like all these big names, is there anyone that you've gotten starstruck over, like from those franchises?
I'm trying to think if I've been starstruck by anybody from those. I had one meeting with Ridley Scott, which was a little like, wow,
Yeah.
I am sitting with Ridley Scott. This is pretty amazing.
How did that go down?
It was good, It was years ago, and it was a development meeting, and we were just talking about some projects, and I don't even remember what the projects were. I was just sort of thrilled to be able to sit down with Ridley for like an hour.
Yeah, that's really cool. Maybe even just to have an hour with them,
Yeah.
like that's
That was
incredible.
great.
Anyone else that like comes to mind?
Well, I worked with Tom Cruise on Mission Impossible 2, which was fantastic and fun, and he was a great guy, and we spent like a month together, myself and Brandon Braga, who I was writing with at the time, and he was just great to hang out with. He was a fun guy. He took the work very seriously, but he was always loose and funny, and it was a really enjoyable time, and he's, one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah, no, literally, that's incredible. Yeah, I feel like you have such like a long catalog of like so many different things that are just so iconic to like the pop culture and the industry in general.
Yeah. And meeting William Shatner for the first time was, for me, that was an amazing, a very special moment.
Do you remember what you first said to him?
I said hi. I was walking into Rick Berman's office, who was the producer on Generations. Brandon and I came over to meet with Bill because he had some notes on the script, and we walked in. Said hi, and he shook our hands. I just remember him shaking my hand and Brand's, and he goes, "So young, they're just so young." And then we sat down, and we were sitting on a couch, and Bill was sitting over here, and we knew what the notes were, so we were addressing them, and one of his notes was that he didn't think Kirk was relevant enough, important enough in the script. And we were like, no, it's a very, and so Brand's giving him a whole song and dance about why he's so important to the script. And Bill's sitting in the chair, and he's like this. He's like, He's not giving us anything. Brand's like, so that's why he's relevant. And then Bill then suddenly pulled out the Kirk voice. And it was like, well, but he's not, in fact, relevant to the script. And our heads like snap back. And we're like, okay, he's not relevant to the script. That's really funny.
Change it. Oh my gosh! Did his opinion at least change?
Oh yeah.
Over time?
Yes.
Okay.
He then embraced it. In the next draft, he was much happier with it.
Okay, excellent, perfect, wonderful. Because it's like he's such an important character, and it's like the focus of things. I'm just imagining you guys have a bunch of like mirrors with like, you are important, you are deserving. Since we're at Comic-Con in general, is there anything you're excited to see besides like old friends? Possibly.
I usually, it's interesting. When I come, I generally don't spend a lot of time going to the panels themselves. And this year I was thinking, maybe I would try to attend a panel or two. I've usually kind of just, randomly walked into different panels over the days. And what I look forward to is just kind of walking the floor. I always just enjoy just the experience of walking the floor, seeing how it has changed over time. The first one I did was for Galactica before the show had premiered. So that must have been like 2002 or something like that, or 3. And at that point, there was still a lot of comics out on the Comic-Con floor. And then over time, it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger media presence, and it's just changed. And now you have to go hunt for the comic book tables out there. So it's always interesting to just walk around and see what the gestalt is, what the new sort of form is for everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. And though there is more like Hollywood presence with things, I think it's pretty cool because you get different aspects, and comics aren't just focused on one subsection. There's something a little bit for everyone, which is really cool. For other things as well, so you get to wander the show floor. Do people look at you and be like, wait a minute, is that Ron Moore? Do they stop?
I'm not Tom Cruise, so but every once in a while someone will. I can usually just walk around without anybody saying anything, but sometimes someone will recognize me, and it's very touching. I'm always like, oh yeah, hi, and then they'll want to take a picture, and that's usually what triggers other people. When they see somebody taking a picture, then people suddenly start gathering, whether they know who I am or not, because someone's taking pictures of him, he must be somebody. I get it, you need a picture too, and the next thing you know, you've got like 30 people standing around you.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Do you ever take photos with cosplayers and not tell them? Be like, oh, can I get a photo with you? And then they're all excited.
No.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. I've heard of that for other celebrities.
Really?
So maybe, there would be, I know that, I can't remember who, but I think Tobey Maguire used to dress up as Spider-Man and take photos with people.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and people would go through the photos, and get posted to Twitter or whatever, and they'd be like, wait, I took a photo with that guy.
I didn't know.
And because they were cosplaying and they took photos of them together. So you should do that too. Find any and every battle Star Galactica or Star Trek out there. Make a little Easter egg hunt out of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.